I wanted to talk to you, Jonathan, about some of the challenges that New Westminster is facing as a city. I certainly am aware of this, and in for the city of New Westminster, and of course for cities right across the country, the Finance Committee did have hearings, and they invited you as one of two city mayors, yourself and Mike Hurley from the city of Burnaby. You both came a week and a half ago. You testified on the virtual Finance Committee, which was broadcast right across the country, and spoke to some of those challenges that cities are facing. And as well, you spoke to some of the challenges that the transit system is facing. So I'd be interested in knowing, and I think our viewers, the people who are tuning in, would be very interested in knowing too. What are the challenges that the city of New Westminster is facing? What is the challenge that you see with our transit system regionally? What are the kinds of things that we have to look for to resolve in the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, so I think it's a really big question. There's no doubt, COVID-19 has really affected communities and cities all across the country. Some affected a little differently, others, but all of us affected. I think the first impact is, how do we as local governments who have the closest connection to residents be able to help support our residents that are finding particular challenges. So here in the city of New Westminster, we actually established a number of working groups to really target some areas that we were concerned most about. First and foremost, there was vulnerable and at-risk populations, and here we've been able to do work with partnering with nonprofits and different agencies to better support the homeless population in the community. One issue that's really come up is an issue of food security, because on one hand, there's been a greater demand for the need of food support for many families struggling, but on the other hand, many nonprofits have actually struggled to be able to do their services under in a pandemic there. So the city has played a big coordinating role to really help facilitate and make sure that those important services not only can continue but can also expand. And just a piece of good news recently, the city, in partnership with St. Barnabas, received a $75,000 grant to be able to help promote their food hamper program for many months to come. And this was an important program that had actually been suspended because of the pandemic. So, just that's one small example of kind of some of the work we're doing with some of kind of the vulnerable and at risk in the city. I think, to your broader question, though, cities as a whole, or even transit agencies, the biggest impact that we're facing is a lot of our traditional revenue sources that we use and rely upon to run our cities or run our transit systems. Unfortunately, a lot of those revenue sources have started to go down, and that is particularly acute with the public transit system. Our public transit system largely is funded by transit fares and the gas tax, and both of those funding sources have really almost evaporated overnight. That has put our public transit system in a really difficult spot.
So what does this mean? I mean, you've been working with organizations, and we know how important the New Westminster Food Bank is. We know how important St. Barnabas is. You've been working with these organizations to make sure that services are coming together. Are you finding that you're getting support? Certainly at the federal level, we're pressing for more supports to go to cities, and definitely support for transit systems. So far, we haven't yet had a positive response. Are you finding, with working with other municipalities, working with the province, that there is some support there, so that the city is being supported in the important work it's doing?
Yeah, well, no doubt, I think New Westminster and all the cities in British Columbia have been working really closely with, in particular, the provincial government there to kind of help coordinate some of the difficult challenges that local government's facing. And, even today I was speaking to Minister Selina Robinson, who's really done an amazing job, and, been in regular contact with all 168 mayors across the province. So that's a lot of phone calls and meetings to check up with all of the mayors there. So, I think the province has really worked hard to make sure they're connecting with local governments there. And I think in many respects, there's been a lot of great programs, both provincially and federally, that have been put out to help support people during these difficult times, and those facing financial challenges there. I think with respect to the challenges we face with public transit, I think we started to raise the alarm bells over a month ago that we were facing some really big challenges with our revenue loss there. So far, we have not been able to receive the level of commitments from the provincial and federal government. I'd say recently there's been some really good conversations and some positive signs from the provincial government about how they might play a partnering role to make sure that we can, as we move out of the crisis, there have a public transit system that is still reliable and safe for people. At this point, haven't gotten the same level of commitment or discussions from the federal government.
Yes, and that's something we're going to continue to push because, as you pointed out in that finance committee hearing, this is vitally important.